is up? What's poppin'? What's really good though? It's your girl Kathiana, and I am back with another video. Now in this video you're gonna see me trim my split ends, and I'm gonna be using regular scissors, but I wouldn't recommend it because it's not really made for cutting your hair. You're supposed to be using Sears scissors. So make sure when you're trimming your hair that you use Sears scissors. But I'm just using it as a backup because I couldn't find one. So I'm just doing what I gotta do to get rid of that damage in my hair. And I have a whole lot of damage because I let the split ends grow into my hair. So you're gonna be seeing me cut off some inches. Yes, inches. Not a little bit, but inches. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get popping. Alright, so first I'm going to start with the parting comb, a wide tooth comb, scissors, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of the parting comb just to untwist the ends. So that way I don't do it with my fingers and cause a big knot. So I'm gonna start trimming my ends with my hair already twisted up. And then I'm gonna take the wide tooth comb and I'm going to comb the ends and work my way up. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to make sure that I comb my hair out as much as possible and get it as straight as possible and detangled free, so that way when it comes time to cutting the ends that it's all even. And you want to make sure you stretch your hair out too. So I'm stretching and taking the parting comb and trying to see where exactly the split ends start and end from. And I do this a few times to feel it and look at it at the same time and try and see where I see the resistance at. So I see where the resistance is at, and I figured out exactly where I'm going to trim it. So I'm stretching the hair, making sure it's completely detangled and double checking that that's where the resistance is. So I figured it out, and now I'm going to take my fingers and use my fingers as a measurement and comb the ends out, and then take the scissors and snip, snip, snip. And you want to take your time when you're trimming your ends. Yeah, that was a lot. It's definitely important to keep up with trimming your ends, because if you don't, then the damage is going to grow into your hair, and you want to prevent that as much as possible. So now what I'm doing is I'm rechecking and trying to get rid of any extra split ends that I didn't get before. And I'm only doing this because I'm not using a Sears scissors. I'm using regular scissors, but I wouldn't suggest using regular scissors when you're trimming your ends, because regular scissors are not made to cut your hair. Sears scissors are specifically designed for your hair texture. But I couldn't find one, so just using regular scissors as a backup. But it's still good though. So now I'm just double checking, looking in the mirror and just making sure that everything is even. And then I'm going to untwist the other section and repeat the process. I'm gonna take the wide tooth comb and I'm going to comb the ends and work my way up. And I'm going to make sure that I comb it out as much as possible. And as you can see the split ends clear as day. And that's a lot of split ends. I was definitely neglecting trimming my hair for a while. I want to say about 6 months, which is really bad. So that's why I'm cutting off a lot of inches. So now I'm just going to twist that part up because I already trimmed it and I don't want to mess anything up. So I'm going to twist it up and get it out my way so I can correctly trim the other section. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna comb it out as much as possible, make sure it's completely straight and stretched out. And I'm taking the parting comb and trying to slide it through my hair a few times to feel and see exactly where the resistance is at. Now, what do you mean by resistance? Well, what I mean by resistance is when you take the parting comb to check to see where the resistance is at, what that means is that's where exactly the split ends begin. So when you start combing your hair, you should feel it slide through with no problems, especially if your hair is completely detangled. But when you're combing it through and it's sliding freely for you, and then it starts to get harder to comb once you like reach a certain part, that means that's where the resistance is. So once you're trying to like force it at a certain point, that's exactly where the damage is. So I'm making sure I'm stretching my hair out and combing it out and detangling as much as possible, taking my fingers to measure it and combing it as much as possible. And snip, 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 and rechecking to make sure that it's completely even. So as you can see, the split ends are not going to be exactly at the same point. So you want to make sure that every strand of hair is even. So of course I'm rechecking. And with this process, you want to make sure that you take your time, because obviously you're cutting your hair and you want to make sure that it's completely even. Now you don't have to, there's not a specific way to make sure your hair is trimmed. It could be, your hair can be wet or dry. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that your hair is completely stretched out as possible. So that way you trim the ends evenly. So that's super important to keep in mind. And as long as you're keeping up with your maintenance as far as making sure you're always trimming your hair, then you won't ever have to worry about your cutting inches like what I'm doing right here. And your hair will grow nice and strong. You can see the resistance right there. It was super hard to like get the parting comb through there. So now I'm going to work on the back of my hair and continue the process. I don't know if you can see it, but the split ends are like super clear. You can like see, you can just see it. Yeah, you definitely don't want any damage growing in your hair. So you want to keep it as healthy and straight as possible. I was definitely trying to trim it in front of the camera at that point, but because it's the back of my hair, I had to make sure I saw what I was doing. So you didn't see that part because I was obviously in front of the mirror to make sure that, you know, I got it trimmed correctly. So if you didn't see that part, I'm sorry. But you can now see that there's no more split ends on that side, and I'm all good to go. So now I'm completely done trimming all of my hair.